Hey guys, welcome back to another one of my video spotlights. This time I am talking with Eric Wolpert of EAW Tech. Eric is an IT guy, and we spent a little bit of time geeking out in this video. But as we got cooking and started talking about business, he absolutely floored me with his philosophy and just way of looking at things. I expected one thing, I got something else. I got this gritty American, put your one foot in front of another, get things done. Eric expresses it so well. I just learned. I learned so much from him. That is the reason why I really love these one-to-one sessions, because you just get to kind of have this feedback and learn from one another. I really encourage you to check out this video and his philosophy. It'll inspire you in the least, okay? Eric Wolpert of EAW Tech, check him out. Eric Wolpert, how are you doing, my friend?
It's good to see you, my friend. I'm doing all right, like many techs, a little less sleep than we were expecting, and a lot more odds and ends to complete to get people where they need to be right now. So what does that mean? It's a very interesting and documentable time where we're going to have a lot to return to in the conversation once we stop reacting and we start proactively turning to the next thing.
Well, your clients are reacting. Are you reacting?
I would say our clients are reacting. So I have the opportunity with my company to become that outsourced IT consultant. And with that, obviously, it's a lot more than just as we've talked about before, it's not just about the fix this broken thing or repair this thing or help us install this thing. It's actually talking about, if you were to see us in the next 6 months, as we were talking about your company's well-being in the next year or two, what are we looking at? What should we invest in? We've been part of those conversations with a lot of our clients basically since our inception. I was fortunate enough to start my company a little less than 2 years ago, and I immediately had a enthusiastic base of people and just fortuitous moments where I met the right person at the right time, where I've been involved with a scale of companies, mom and pops up to international associations, where we're having these conversations about, well, what do you want to do to work on collaboration? What do you want to do when you have somebody who's outsourced overseas? What do you want to do when we have what we thought would be just another bad snowmageddon, as we used to, as we've been calling it here in Virginia? And we didn't really have the conversation, what happens when a pandemic comes and cripples the economy, and then go from there.
Yeah.
But our clients were saying, well, we'd like to pace it here. We'd like to do this here. We'd like to only have a certain number of people who we would like to have working from home to help them with that as a benefit. That whole, there is a level of trust and expectation that each of our clients may have with their own employees that we have to respect, but we've always had that contingency. So what happens if? So our clients were well prepared and aware of getting the ball from the 9-yard line across into that next set of downs. They were able to run forward. They just needed to push through getting everybody online, getting everybody with a working laptop, get everybody to that little extra thing. So I'd said it was like trying to fix everyone's flat tires. That's a lot of quick lifting, trying to get everyone up, trying to fix what needs to be fixed so they could get back on the road, trying to get them running again, because obviously...
You mean get on the road like working remotely?
Exactly, working remotely. Yeah, I like to speak in imagery. Something that's I've been well known for is IT is really a conversation that can be had at a mile-high view, but then the technicians will go down to the street level to explain what's what's securely being passed over to here and everything like that. And unless you want to have an encryptions conversation and what modes you're using, what passes, when you're talking about it strategy-wise, Mile High View does a lot to help everyone at the at the table talk.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
analogy is like, this is a car and a transmission, and here's a steering wheel, and you put a key in. And
yeah,
in reality, we're talking about some.
we're talking about things that get very complicated. And when a COO is, dealing with 150 people and trying to make sure that they're able to work tomorrow, and they say, well, what do we need? What is that thing that will get us to the finish line? We'll say, well, look, we've already made these investments. We've already talked to you about this. All we need to do is accommodate for this. We're going to get into those nitty-gritty details. But as I was saying, we were helping our clients get to that finish line that they had already set out. That roadmap was just shortened very quickly. Instead of saying we had a plan for the next quarter to go ahead and do this, we were thrust into the greatness of getting it done in 2 weeks.
So, okay, but in real terms, what are we talking like business continuity projects and stuff where you're all of a sudden forced to accelerate?
Into that nitty gritty, it had to do with people who had Windows servers who said to themselves, well, can we get people onto a remote desktop securely? Okay. Well, that involves developing your remote desktop rights, making sure you've installed the configurations correctly, setting up the firewall, and setting exclusions for certain assets within the company, and all those fun things that we said, we're going to lay out a plan. We want to have this set out. But usually you say, well, we also want to get this approved for this group. We need to make sure that those people understand this. We want to get a documentation out that explains the responsibilities and expectations. So we'll have these things nice and planned and laid out as a conversation piece and really sell this as a benefit and add on why we're making these investments. Well, it's great when you're making those investments as a benefit. Now it was transitioned from, work from home securely became an expectation, a need to, as opposed to a benefit to the trust and the relationship you have with your own employer. So that changed. It really changed. It was like, we just need it delivered. We want the solution in place. We'll have those conversations. It won't be as pretty. It won't have all the professional pomp and circumstance of the cover letter on the TPS reports.
Right.
We need the report. We need that stuff done. And so, like a lot of my peers in this business, we were suddenly told, just get it done. We need to get back to our workflow, get this stuff completed. I know there are several clients, potential clients in my own conversations have said, well, when this is done, I'd love to talk to you guys because we weren't ready. We never had that. Our people weren't responsive. And I'll tell you, I was at a time where everyone else is worried about work. I made more work for myself, just helping others who needed help outside of just my own client base. My own client base obviously had a level of priority. But seeing you just at the community level, the professional level, the circles that I've in, folks just need help getting to work, getting to whatever it is. Why does my camera not work? What's wrong with the internet at home? These are silly questions to have on a given day, but when it's otherwise I can't work, those are very important to those individuals, and we're trying to make sure that everyone gets back to that. And we will worry about building a full professional package of support services and solutions when we're not worried about the budgets at literally the week by week process that has become a lot of small businesses conversation. Those things have really become a little bit more real than some folks expected it to be. And I'm just happy to, I'm happy to represent my own company in that instance that I can have that conversation directly with the owners, directly with the deciders, and say, we can respect your concerns, we can respect your budgets. What do you need? What would you like? Let's measure it out, and let's talk. Fix now. We'll build that relationship. We'll get you on a better solution when business is booming, when the economy gives you that rebound we would love to see, we hope to see, but we'll always have that relationship, that who was there to help put fix the tire, as it were. And that imagery again is a lot of those flat tires don't come from just my clients, but from the people around here who just needed help.
So you've been getting out there and essentially helping out in the community pro bono.
I have. I can do so much with the pieces that I've been given in life. A lot of secondhand equipment comes in here that we've donated in the past to different schools. We're trying to hand them out just to get people back to work again. That's the attitude. If you need something to get you to work, let's get you something that we will put together with duct tape and bubble gum. But it will work, and you will get get to the get you through. Exactly. And at this point, we're just like everyone else. We can't find a webcam to save our life, short of a third party that we don't know whether or not it's a knockoff from somebody who just happened to find them. We just don't know anymore because we ran out. We ran out just like everyone else because people need to work. So, but that's the company. The company EAW Tech works with the technical capabilities of getting people where they need to be. As an owner and an individual, I don't know about, I love this series because you're taking the time to get to know people and what they're doing. I've taken the time to go out and get to know my neighbors, the bakeries, the candy shops, the restaurants, the places that in Old Town Manassas are fighting to stay alive day by day. So after we're done with this, I'll go and take a picture and promote so-and-so's brewery or so-and-so's candy shop or whatever it is. The bakeries are another important place where they need attention. They have services that they can still offer, and letting them know that not everyone needs to wait in line at the major shops when companies around here would love and will absolutely engage with business if they just knew that was there.
Right.
So awareness at the professional level has been, an extra job and time that we've put into seeing the community get through this. At least that's what we're trying to relay.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly apparent. I mean, to me, I see it on Facebook. I see you guys getting out there and I mean, it's obvious to me that you're getting out there into the community and helping out, which is so noble because I mean you're a tech company, right? But and I'm a tech guy myself.
Yeah.
We like to hide behind our keyboards and monitors and sort of find that escape almost in a way. But you're doing the opposite, which is very, very noble, man. It's awesome. That's freaking awesome. So are you seeing, let's just go back to, what feels like 10 years ago, right? Which was a month ago. Your company is basically a managed service provider, right?
Yeah.
At a fair assessment?
That's a fair assessment.
Okay. So, and you've helped me out of this evolution. So, and continue to do so. So, network stacks, servers, configurations, cloud migrations, and then maintenance and management of that for people that that infrastructure managed. I'm curious, where is this going for you guys? Because, and I guess I see you reaching out to the community, to the LLC, right? I mean, we traditionally talked about the fact that we really are sort of in a B2B business to business world. But is this going to turn into a B2C situation for you as more and more people go to remote and, maybe stay there? Where is your head on where the next, what next 6 months look like for you guys?
I really like that you're asking that because I spend so many hours with different clients talking about their own roadmaps, where they're going, what did they see, what do they want to do, and all that stuff that I never get a chance to actually say, well, in my dream, in my world, what I'm doing. And, I think that personally, every time I've got a great plan, that's when God laughs and changes the whole thing.
Yeah.
So the goal with EAW Tech was in this next year, we were saying, hey, look, as a company first, I want to make sure that I'm training young talent. This is a great time to be out there. I've got, people who are investing in the company, not just because I have answers, but also because I have an attitude about this. So the attitude being, we look forward to being on site. We're not afraid to engage with people who are actually asking questions. Where like this whole thing was meant to do something that was contrary to the IT line. That to kind of laugh at the idea that the notion that, well, we can't go on site right now. We can't talk across the table nearly as easily, obviously. Like if you have a problem at your desktop, we have to coordinate something safely for you and for our people. As for the technology roadmap of this, there are so many layers to the potential. The big thing that we may be seeing is the final lapse for small and even medium-sized companies about working in-house. Those people who said, I really need to feel comfortable with my servers in a building. I need to feel like I know that I control the data at the physical level. I could pick it up and walk away with it, that I know it's mine.
Yeah.
That apprehension was kind of forced to be faced.
Right.
When they suddenly say, well, if you want to have collaboration, we need to talk to you about Microsoft Teams, and let's talk about the GoToMeeting suite, and let's talk about the LogMeIn solutions, and perhaps you want Citrix or AWS. What do you want to get this done? Because you need work done more than you would like to feel the sweet sounds of the server buzzing in your
humming in the back.
Exactly. That white noise isn't enough.
Yeah.
So I am seeing that the companies that even had 2 towers worth of, and when we say towers, you understand that the full-size rack can have easily $300,000 to $500,000 worth of equipment put in place. That stuff is being decommissioned. And if you can give me a reasonable solution that I know that my stuff is safe up there, I have backups here, I know who's going in and out of my network, I'll feel safer, has really been introduced as a reasonable answer now. So I see a lot of smaller and medium-sized companies going, I don't need this stuff in-house. Yeah. Which is scary. Scary in so much as sometimes you do. And having that conversation will also be, a little contrarian. Like, actually, this piece of data, you should keep in-house. You're accountable to this. Keep this here. Or let's talk about getting you to a managed cloud provider, or get you a rack somewhere out in, the data centers of Ashburn, the data centers of Prince William now, and things like that, where it's safer than your building, but you still control a physical aspect of it. So that there's new conversations, but I laugh because I train technicians. Their first day on site still is, I broke a server in front of you. You need to put it together. And obviously when you come out saying, I've got my Security Plus certificate, I've worked with Microsoft this, and I have my Cisco that, and I say, but I broke a server and put it in front of them, there's more separation than there used to be about people not knowing what those pieces are. And if you don't know the physical pieces in front of you, how are you supposed to understand the equivalent at the virtual level? Because that conversation is still being had for people who remember those days. And I know that when I talk to seniors in this industry, they love to pull out I remember when RAM was in the closet and I had to pull it out. And then like, I don't remember that, but I do remember having to make those first migrations out of NT and bringing them into the brave new world of Server 2003 and saying, this could get ugly, but we're just going to be spending the weekend losing all of our sleep, but making sure we don't lose any of your data. You know, those kind of conversations have been had, been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's fun to see the evolution from back then to now. What I'm saying now is even more people are not going to understand the physical reality of what happens when they say the cloud is really somebody else's computer.
Right.
What do you bring to the party as an experienced technician?
Yeah. Well, you know, I had similar conversations. I'm going to age myself, but probably a decade ago. But on the software side of things, right, where we were decrying, you know, as all the different platforms and frameworks, web frameworks came out, you really didn't need to have, as a software developer, you really, I mean, you needed to, but it wasn't necessary for you to understand how the HTTP protocol worked, or the fact that the web is, or, you know, web in particular was essentially stateless. And all these frameworks virtualized all of that hard stuff and abstracted it away, you know, and so you had new generations of coders doing awesome fucking shit, not really truly understanding what happens under the hood. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same thing with you guys in the cloud. You have, you know, a virtual concepts that are somewhat analogous to that of hardware. You have to deal with, but I think it will be less and less, you know. Yeah, it'll be less and less necessary, and so your future generations of techs may not have a clue how to open up a server. Now, somebody will have to know how to open up that server. But it's going to be a smaller and smaller club. You know, it's going to be, and they're going to be working in those data centers in Prince William and Ashburn.
But those same people are going to only know, you know, they're going to get so specialized on what they see at the physical level. And we said, don't worry, once those go in, somebody else will go and put the next layer of controller on them, or they'll have their server farm is managed by this team. So I'll just plug it in, get it done, fix the red light, and they'll be, don't care what happens at the next level. I've done my part.
Right.
You know, that's, you know, I love the small and medium-sized companies because they appreciate the multiple hats that it took to get to where they are, and appreciate the techs and the history of people who can say, I remember wearing that hat, I know wearing this hat, I try to engage that and train the next generation myself now, because hilariously I'm dating myself and say, these kids, they don't know what it's like, but they need to know why you try to designate this amount of RAM here and what part of this should be designated to the, you know, the operating system versus the data sector and all this stuff. Like,
so I guess what I'm trying to help me understand this, are you promoting that the people that you're training, the people that work for you, that they do understand the nuts and bolts, the real
very much
versus the virtual? So that's
very
what
much so. Because I find it important to have my people be able to have conversations with more than just their peers. And that's, you know, that's something to be said analogous of life. You know, we were told and we were trained at one point in life to read the classics, appreciate the things that have, you know, come before us, you know, on the shoulders of titans, as it were, you know, or giants, however you want to say that. The idea that if you're going to have a conversation with somebody who's clearly a senior, you're senior to you, that if you can't appreciate this, you know, certain level of dialogue that they had about what they're seeing, what they've done, it makes it very much two roads that are never going to meet. So that when I have that base training. I say you need to understand these are the real things that happen. Here are the real things you see. And even in my day, in my day 10 years ago,
Right.
My day 15 years ago, that is significantly different.
Yeah.
When we had to deal with, a less than friendly, how the heck did they screw up the Cisco command line for these VLANs, as opposed to going, oh, well, Cisco Meraki, you just drop it here and you put the nice GUI here, and then ta-da, you have, a secured point to point to point with a centralized hub, and it's done. Like, you don't, if you give that conversation, just say, well, it's simple as click, 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 you're going to lose not just the conversation with people who remember the days of yore, but you're also going to lose the appreciation for all the work that was done to get there. And when you have a conversation with the COO, these are usually, and there are going to be brilliant minds and brilliant young hipster solutioner entrepreneurs that are just ahead of the game. But when you're talking about business to business, as we are, it's going to be the person who says, I remember 10 years ago, we were told we didn't have to do this. I'm like, well, it changed. I appreciate what you did 10 years ago. We're changing it again, and that record will repeat and change again in 10 years. When I say, oh, we didn't have to dedicate space to the operating system. We just put it all on the C drive. Well, then we changed it. Yeah. And then we changed it back. And now we're changing it again. Separate the operating system from your functioning data again. And that conversation helps so much. And if that just means remembering a couple of lines from The Simpsons to get to our team, our generation, that's great. If you throw in a line from South Park, that's great. But then try to talk about, I remember in that, when it was about Leave It to Beaver, or when it talks about what was going on in fantastic action movies of the 80s, whatever it be, that helps your conversation with people naturally. But if you don't have that same attitude about technology and appreciate how much complexity that may be kind of silly now, just like special effects from the 80s, you don't understand and appreciate how much work it took to get there. And upon that, we were able to make something new and amazing off of it. Yeah. So that's an attitude I tried to teach, because I'm, certain minds just like to collect lots of data and just throw it in there. I'm one of those, between my backgrounds in pre-med to law to going into IT while working in the, the lobbying circuit for a little bit. All those things help expand the conversations you can have. But when it comes back to technology, the new is great, but if you want to engage with people, you better understand where it came from, and it will help you understand the trajectory, so that you're not just playing stocks on it, just saying, I'm guessing that the next big thing is going to be X, Y, and Z. It's going to be the logical sequences. The next thing will be this. That's the importance of road mapping, which makes you different than the break-fix people out there that will say, well, your computer broke, let's buy you a new one.
Yeah.
That's good. People need to do that. But that doesn't complete the real scope of what needs to be done in a day-to-day.
Well, I think, and gosh, the techie in me is coming out on this one, but I think one of the bigger benefits in understanding these layers of complexity, right? Understanding where the nuts and bolts are, and where the CPU and logic and the software and then the framework and then the cloud, and it's those connections in between is where security gets compromised. You know what I mean? So it's like a glitch in the matrix, right? So, I mean, that's basically what it was. Glitch in the matrix is, oh shit, my reality is broken, that this thing happened, the deja vu, twice, because that interface between the lower level reality and the current reality, somebody hacked it, right? Yeah. Somebody broke it. And I think that's where hacks happen, is when, and that's where people struggle in trying to resolve or even determine that there's a security problem, right? Because they operate on that level of framework, let's just say, or up here, but somebody is breaking things one layer below, and they have no idea. They don't understand how it's put together, so they can't tell that it's being.
That's exactly it. They don't, unless you're the one guy who's sitting watching all the streams of data and
Right.
seeing all the screens of what's going around you and catching that, you better be observant. And yeah, layer after layer, it hasn't changed yet. It gets evolved every month to something new. Still one of the hardest things to control is that one person in your company that wants to press you just won free money, or your FedEx package that you didn't know you sent. I should click on that link.
Yeah.
And then, can potentially compromise your entire company.
Do you know I just did that? I just did that. I literally gave away my admin password. I cannot believe I did that. This was 2 weeks ago.
Oh my
Somebody
God.
sent me, and it was a COVID-related phishing email.
Yep.
Somebody sent it to my. How could I have been so fucking stupid? I don't understand how. I think it was COVID, right? It was.
Yep.
It's right there in the subject line. So and so. These are my thoughts about our plans for COVID, and I opened up the email. I saw that, and it came from an authority, from a person I trust.
Right.
And I clicked on the pretend PDF link.
Yep.
Opened up a screen, asked me for my password. I gave it away, just like. And I went, and of course, it then disappeared. And I went, oh no, and panic now. So I ended up running around. Of course, went to the source, say, hey, listen, you just got hacked. I just got hacked. Now I'm changing my password. And I couldn't. I was beating myself up over it because again.
You should know better.
I should know better.
Doesn't stop it from happening.
I should know better. They won. I saw COVID in the subject line. I clicked. I gave away my password. Didn't even think about it twice.
Yep. We actually have a couple of our clients have really taken that to the next level in regards to training, both at the technical level. There are different solutions out there, fantastic companies, both insourced and outsourced within the suites. So when I say insourced, I would say like there's Advanced Threat Protection Plan 2 from Microsoft that has all those threat protection training episodes within the suite that is Microsoft 365.
Yeah.
But then there are other applications outside of it, like Fisher ER and stuff like that, that are fantastic at doing exactly that, focusing on training and evaluating who is, as they say, the weakest link. And you can train and identify and train and retrain. And it really is the best company that I've seen. Just make sure that never gets lost as part of the conversation. You don't get to just pass through a year. They've actually upped their scale of requirements to quarterly reviews. Now you think that gets annoying, but it's the people who didn't think about it for a year that click the wrong email or follow the wrong path or save it to the wrong place. And it has to be, as the people that are involved in the technology have to be continued conversation just as much as keeping track of the technology.
Yeah.
And that's, again, just beating the same conversation in with the nuances of, and today, don't click on the COVID thing. If you didn't order masks, you didn't get free masks.
That's right. Free masks. Click here.
It's just what it is. And you just have that conversation again and again. And, I've been in this business for 13 years, having the same conversation with Phil in the micro detail, but the conversation still has to be had because new people come in and new processes and new exploits come out every time you think you got it down.
So Eric, you clearly are an authority on all things technical, but where is your business headed, man? Where's this all going?
My business is heading up, Martin. No, my business is probably going to grow by width before it goes by height anymore. And by width, I mean I am taking, even during this time, I'm committing to not cutting the hours of the kids I have and trying to figure out a safe way to train more young minds in IT. There are so many talents out there and certain things I can train and certain things I can't train. It's hard to teach people who are bad at customer service how to be good at customer service, because there's a mentality, there's an attitude. But people who have that and are willing to learn and listen are amazing. I've had the opportunity to train many folks while I've been in this business, and I've seen some of them experience just exponential success, both monetarily and personally. So, it's great to be a launch pad, but I would never say that I was the rocket that got them there. I'd say I'm the launch pad to what they've done in their own personal perseverance and their commitment to learning, their commitment to training, the commitment to their customers and how they service and support folks have led them to fantastic roads. I continue to do that. I'm going to, I see in the next, 6 months that I'd like to have at least 2 more interns go from non-paid training intern time to paid with EAW. And then from there, having that the body of people, along with the people I already have, will have the capacity to cover our current clients with confidence. And then I can say with a new layer of confidence that I've got the people, now I need the business. And that's why I say I'm going to spread out more, invest in the people and the talent that needs to be here in-house, so that I say I can climb that mountain and get that next contract with a local municipality or a local association, or those folks who have the RFPs for this or that here in Northern Virginia and greater. I can just simply say, I've got the guys. I've got the guys. I've found the talent. They've got, first and foremost, the right attitude to service and support what we're doing here, because never do I want to feel like I'm worried about the folks behind me. I mean, I want to back my guys, and the ones I have so far have been fantastic. And I hope my company can go, expand out as I invest, that the people around me will invest in this company so that I can continue to grow, because I hope to see EAW Tech become an authority as a company on how IT is supposed to be managed, because I've seen too many IT companies as of late say, set it and forget it. We don't want to talk to you. We're just, we're phoning it in. We're plugged into your systems. We're monitoring everything you do, and we will only react if there's a problem. And if you want to have a meeting with us, schedule it on our time. I don't like that, because I don't feel like that's proactive. I don't feel like that helps the roadmap that we're talking about. I want to encourage and develop my talent in that same attitude of, how do you feel about tomorrow's problems? What do you see your company's doing? It's because my company is looking at growing and building and seeing progress happen here, but we need to see what you guys are investing in, what you think is important. How do you develop? And, this is a tough conversation to have right now with clients when they're saying, well, we're worried about losing folks. We're about losing clients. We're worried about losing funds. We're having that conversation, but we're also talking about the roadmap of the future, saying, well, what do you see next? We're looking at proactively trajectory up in this economy, as we hope and expect it to recover. We're going to play the game as if there's only a win. We're not playing to lose. And I want to encourage and promote the businesses that I work with, that work around, to have that same attitude, that sense of hope that we're going to get through this. Because if you're playing like you're going to lose, you may. But if you're playing to win and you lose, you still fought for every bit that you have, and that's how we're going to go with it. And as business goes back up, and people continue to say, I remember Eric, I remember EAW Tech was there. They took care of those folks. We're going to make the investment in them. I want to be able to be gracious about their support by having the talent already ready to help them. How's that for a lot of words for we want to be big so we can help everyone?
I am inspired. I am inspired. I mean, in a way, I don't feel like I've been playing to lose, but I have certainly been playing to bide my time lately. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I do. And I thought about it. Like in my head, you can't help but do the calculations like, well, if I think about how many hours I can afford to put somebody on the job, if I think about how much time I can afford to do this, that you can do the math. But when you go out to work, when you go out to promote who you are and what you do with the businesses you work with, you're not going to have that there. You did that in your head. You did that time reflecting and meditating about how you were going to come into business. But when you get into business and you're going there for what it is, I want my clients to feel that same, attitude of success. Like I saw one of the local, I'll posit them, the Premier Martial Arts, great place here in Manassas that my son attends. And when they had to close all their doors because no one can come in, they tried to think of a creative pivot, and now they're posting everything and Zooming online and trying to get people to stay committed to their own activity and their stuff. But their owner and his attitude was not to don't lessen your goals, actually increase them. Now that's a great motivation just to yay life and coach of what it is, but it's true to a point. I'm trying to push my goals harder. If I don't make them, well, it wasn't because I didn't reach for them. I didn't go in thinking that I should have fewer hours. I should have less support. I should have less of that. It just means that I didn't expect much out of myself. I expect the most out of my companies, and I'm pushing my clients to be the best they can. And if they can't, we're going to be there to help them, not by cost just alone, but by support. If it means going to the local bakery to buy bread and to support the local food pantry, if it means making sure that so-and-so who sells tchotchkes and support gets to know the one restaurant who is willing to buy right now, we're going to introduce them, make all those connections, and just make sure everyone sees if they're making baskets, or if they're making masks, if they're making whatever it is to help, that everyone knows that there are other people connecting. And that's how everything will work, and we'll all keep pushing, because the people who stop pushing are hoping that will come back. I'm going to hope and keep pushing, and if it's not there, it won't be because I didn't try. I don't know. It's just you got to push, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
Smile about it too.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess when I asked you that question, I was expecting to hear back, well, here are the changes that we're going to make. You're saying, no, fuck no. The road is laid out, and we continue. And it's as if nothing's changed. And in fact, I'm going to press even harder. For me, I've kind of stepped back with OE, right? And I've been thinking a lot about, well, what about the future of work, and what kind of members are we going to have, and what will their needs be, and will their needs change? And so I've been kind of trying to sort of not push, but think my way out of this pandemic. You know what I mean? Like think my way through with some new strategies or tactics.
Yeah.
What you're presenting is a completely different picture, which is like, hell no, I have my path. I'm pushing, I'm going. And
yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that we're not cognizant of the situation at hand. I mean, I don't have any of my employees going out on site anymore.
Right.
I simply wouldn't allow it. And when they ask about it, it's simply hands down. If you're not comfortable, I'm not going to push anyone to anywhere they wouldn't want to be. Are we going to support the local community in a safe way? Absolutely. Are we going to go around and lick everyone's handle, at their door? No. We're not saying that. Don't be belligerent about being safe. I've taken, to the very much an attitude that has been, thanks to Potomac Local News, was picked up as be smart, be safe, and be supportive. Those are all three needed at this time. You can be smart and safe, but if you aren't being supportive about the people around you, you're still going to sink because you're so put in about the worries about you that you haven't thought about the fact that when you lift the people around you, you're going to be lifted yourself.
Yeah,
it's important. So we continue to balance that. But as for an attitude, yeah, this is a scary time. And the clients we've had those the come to Jesus conversations. Like, if you need me to roll back your hours, if you need me to make sure that we just control your costs in a way that are smart, or if we just realize you need to work now, we'll worry about costs later. We're having those conversations. But that doesn't stop the idea that we should be looking towards tomorrow, that roadmap of tomorrow. And if you're talking about, well, it's going to be the road to apocalypse, this is going, I'm probably not going to be hoarding the toilet paper. I'm going to trust that there'll be toilet paper tomorrow, and I have enough for today. But damn it, we're going to grow. We're going to push, and we're going to be part of the narrative of they were there. Why would you not take the marketing initiative, as they call crisis marketing, of being there? You want to be the person that, even though it's a sad and tough time, that you're out there kicking ass, taking names, lifting people, and finding out what needs to be done next, so that when people turn around and finally see the sun of the new day, they go, they were there then. Of course they're going to be here now. I've seen enough of that around here where people just said, my biggest clients are my concern and my small clients don't matter. And I heard that from one of the peers in this area. And that it broke my heart. Right. I was like, but I understand there's people who feed the whole table just because they're big. But all those little people have tables that they need to provide for too. And don't you ever think that they're not essential in their own way. That hand was almost required to be put out there. And so we're going to be part of that narrative, fix and get back on the road to working. And when the sun comes out and everyone's on the better side of it, I certainly hope that we're part of that positive story of going up.
Wow.
It's nothing less than what we would expect to do. I would expect my people to do. And I know my boys are taking the time to call in, check in on everyone as now part of their process. I said, check in with everyone, make sure they're working. Now it's part of their work process when they check in and the mornings, like find out who's not working, fix it so they can get to work. We'll deal with the larger scale projects when I know everyone's working, because they'll eventually feed us because we need to, we need to eat too. And we're blessed enough to have enough work to keep everyone fed. And we only hope that as we turn the corner on this, regardless of the forecast of turning it tomorrow or turning it in 3 months, I don't care what the timeline is. The idea is that we're going to be ready for the turn, and we're going ready to just be on the scene as that same authority that was there, positivity and solutions. You can't have one without the other on that, but of fixing the next thing, doing the next thing, and road mapping the future. And that's how I'm going to lead my company. And if others say otherwise, more power to them on how they feel about what they're doing.
You've inspired me and given me a slightly different perspective with this thing, man. I guess we all kind of go to our natural tendencies. My natural tendency is to start thinking my way out of a problem, and the danger with that is that thinking can become rumination, and then you're doing nothing else but think and plan instead of just taking putting one foot in front of another. And we're in business, and we're doing everything we can to make our members as comfortable and as safe as we can.
Yeah.
But still, internally, I think I've been spending a lot of time trying to be the futurist and to think my way out of this pandemic. But I love what you're saying with this sort of gutsy, gritty American, put one foot in front of another and just get the job done. Just keep moving.
Yeah, no, and really, I have, I'm small enough, to a point where I can still dream the big dream and just, dreams be damned against others, and that's fine. But I don't want to have that attitude isolate to myself. I really believe that for everyone. I really do. And, having the concerns about the well-being of your building, the well-being of your employees, the well-being of everything else, I don't ignore that. And I think the weight of what you're thinking about has every important part of the merit of being cognizant, being empathetic about the concerns and scared, the scariness of the situation. You can say, I understand that. You can say, I empathize with that. But if you haven't had that problem, have I lost sleep at night going, oh, dear God, what are we going to do next? Yes. Yeah. I've had the moments building this company where I just forego meals because I need to pay the bills. Because that's what you do. You have to be there. If you're not going to fight to win, it's there's a certain part. If you're not playing to win. I'm willing to fight for what we do, as a attitude of success. But I'm not going to hurt anyone along the way. I couldn't imagine doing that. I can't imagine chopping down the dreams of anyone else. And I also try to lift up the people who are worried about everything else that's going on, at least knowing we will take care of your technology. Don't worry about that. Are we safe? Well, let me look at what you're doing. Yes, you're safe. Should we make a big investment? Let's look at it. I think you could. I think you should here. I think you can pass off what you're doing for now. Those are the real conversations that someone who is in this field, I feel, lack. The managed service providers of today are encouraged to just keep you going. And if you shrink, you shrink. And if you don't, you don't. I want everyone to feel like they can grow. And that attitude shouldn't be changed just because it's a tough time. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next. I too have worried, but when I turn around and say, it's time to get back to work, it's time to talk to Martin, say, dude, I had those conversations with you. Like, I'm worried about X, Y, and Z. But at the same attitude, I did my worrying. I can't do anything with the worry other than decide what to do next. And I've got to do the next. And this next is get back to work and figure out what to do when people say I need to create a mobile device management solution. Should I marry it to Cisco? Should I marry it to Microsoft? Should I look at maybe Jamf because I have multiple, platforms like Androids and iOSs, and we don't really like Microsoft. Whatever their attitude, we'll figure it out. But those are the fun liberties of learning. What's next. But right now, I think people are more worried about, well, how do I get work done, and will I get there? Will I be there tomorrow? Well, our attitude is, of course you're going to be there tomorrow. We'll figure it out. And so will we. So yeah, I hope to lead by, my leadership is in the front, and I'll worry about everything just like any other business owner. But right now, with everything going on, smile, and press like you're going to win. Because if you don't believe in that, it's hard to see it anything less than depressing. You gotta believe it. And it's amazing how much more you can feel like you can get done in a day when you do that.
Well, Eric, I deem the honorary member of Office Evolution, even though you don't hold a membership with us, you are serving our technology. And I've been inspired by this conversation, man. That's phenomenal.
Well, thank you, Martin. I mean,
You
I've worked for Office Evolution. I worked for several of your tenants,
members.
members, several of your family.
That's right. Ohio.
Are my clients, because they said, well, we know where our what Office Evolution can do, and you took the time to say, well, do you know what EAW Tech could do for you? Because we'll provide Office solutions. He can provide that technical direction that you may need as you're launching, as you're making those first-time investments in technology and process. We've been happy to have those conversations, and it's those are the tumultuous times of who do I trust and who's taking me, and we never want to feel like we're taking anybody, and we're really trying to make sure that they feel confident in what they do.
Pretty cool. Do you want to close it out with a quick BNI pitch of EAW Tech? BNI member.
Sure. Hello, my name is Eric Wolpert. I am the owner of EAW Tech. We are a managed service provider based in Manassas. We support anywhere that has an internet connection, but more importantly, we focus on small and medium-sized companies as being that IT solutions vendor to assist not only with fixing and restoring people to where they need to be, but also helping roadmap and consult the future of what they want to do and what we can do with technology these days. And I am a proud member of BNI Sterling Silver. And thank you, Martin, for your time and giving me a chance to just get to talk to you and record this in a very unique fashion. So thank you.
Absolutely. I love our conversations, brother. I always have. And I'm, like I said, thank you for that new perspective. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you.
All right. Go out there and serve the
online
community, man. We'll see you soon.
Cheers.
All right. Take care.
See you now.
Bye.